Welcome to our October meeting. At our last monthly meeting, we presented information to you about learning objectives. In visiting your classrooms, we saw evidence of your thoughtful development of learning objectives. For some of you who teach or facilitate classes taught 90% or more online, developing learning objectives is somewhat different. However, it is likely that at some point you will be teaching a class that has a higher percentage of face-to-face learning as compared to online learning. John Hattie is an educational researcher, and here is one of his great quotes. Simply tell students what they will be learning before the lesson begins, and you can raise student achievement by as much as 27%. I think any of us would love to have student achievement raised by 27%. What if you want to do more than just tell your students? We want to make sure that we clarify each component to the students, the behavior, the conditions, and the outcome we expect. So what can we do when we want to do a little bit more than tell students the objectives? We can give students a copy of the learning objectives to refer to as the lesson progresses. We can come back to the learning objectives as we teach, return to it, explain it, ask where they think we are. At the end of the lesson, review the learning objective again. Ask students to assess their learning so far using the actual objective. This provides a visual for students on their way to achieving the ultimate goal. So let's take a clear example. Consider the following. Suppose at the beginning of class, before you discussed a learning objective, you projected this image for your students. Now suppose that this was the directions that you gave to the students. Look at the words and image projected on the board, then quietly think to yourself, what do I see? What words do I recognize? What do you imagine this word cloud is about? No writing, think and look for 30 seconds. No talking. After 30 seconds, now turn and talk to your neighbor and tell them what you were thinking when you see these words and images. Okay, so now let's get some of your thoughts up on the board. So a question for you teachers here today. Ultimately, what will we, the class, come up with? So let's reflect. Lesson objectives are more than a sentence on the board. I can use an image or other prompt to cause students to think covertly and ultimately to develop the lesson objective. Also, students will remember the prompt for a very long time. As we continue in the content area, if I ask students to remember this visual or quickly display this visual, students will be able to retrieve what they have learned. As an aside, I can also use this visual or one like it on any assessment. So today has been an introduction or review to anticipatory set, learning objectives, and covert thinking by students.